Sonic the Hedgehog has returned to greatness. I've been longing to talk about a new Sonic game that was actually good, and finally, there is one, Sonic Frontiers. But the road there wasn't as smooth sailing as you would think. Do you remember the 7 minutes of gameplay IGN showed us back in June? Oh boy. I remember watching this and saying to myself, are they for fucking real? This is terrible! The like to dislike ratio was 50-50. Fans were not happy. Like, just do something! See this? This was that video in a nutshell. And to be honest, I stopped caring about this franchise because the games were just never gonna be good again. Until they started showing actual gameplay, gave us an overview of what we do in the game, and resurrected Knuckles with the prologue animation. I'm not even kidding. Seeing all of this got me curious, like maybe Sega is actually listening. Then November 8th came around. After voting, I immediately drove to Walmart to pick this game up. And after playing this game and completing it 100% while collecting every single achievement, I can confidently say that this is the best 3D Sonic game in 14 years. I loved it so much I bought it digitally on PS5 to add it to my Platinum Trophy collection, giving Nitro Fueled some much needed company. This game was simply put, fantastic from start to finish. But it still has its problems. In this video, I will be going through as much of the game as I can without sounding too biased. Then after I assign the score, we'll take a detour as I talk about my experience getting the Platinum Trophy, while also giving you some helpful tips in the process. I'm not sure how long this video will end up being, so I'll leave timestamps in the description down below so you can skip to which part you want to watch. But of course, this is still a relatively new game, so it's possible that somebody watching this video has not played it yet. In that case, you are walking into spoiler territory from here on out. If you don't want the game spoiled for you, I highly recommend that you leave the video immediately and play it for yourself. Trust me, going in blind is the best experience ever, especially for Sonic Frontiers. This is your final warning. Leave the video now if you want to avoid spoilers. Alright, with that obligatory spoiler alert out of the way, let's dive in. Now, wait just 1 second. Because YouTube loves accidentally flagging a vast majority of Sonic-related videos as for kids, I'm going to briefly show a clip of Tourette's guy saying the F word several times, starting now. Fuck! 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 Oh! Alright, now on with the review. We begin the game with Eggman approaching an ancient portal with a talking gadget he invented. The gadget opens the portal to what is called cyberspace, a cyber network that contains stored data. Eggman gets pulled into the portal, trapping him there. Meanwhile, Sonic, Tails, and Amy fly the tornado to the Starfall Islands, looking for the Chaos Emeralds. Already, the story is better than anything Pontac and Graf came up with, and we haven't even done anything. The tornado gets sucked into a portal that sends everyone to cyberspace, but Sonic is able to escape. He has now been given the task by some eerie voice in the sky to
find the Chaos Emeralds, destroy the Titans, tear down the walls between dimensions.
So the goal is to explore the island, collect the emeralds, and beat the big boss in order to rescue Sonic's friends. Just a heads up, the game defaults to 4K mode in the graphics settings. Do yourself a favor and change it to 60 FPS mode. On PS5, it's called Performance Priority mode. Yeah, Sony likes to use big words. Anyway, the first thing you might notice in terms of the voice acting is how much more serious everyone sounds. This game made me realize the potential Roger Craig Smith had as Sonic's voice. In previous games, Roger's Sonic was so fucking annoying due to the games not taking themselves seriously. Here, actual voice direction was given to the actors, and I honestly owe Roger an apology. While I still prefer Jason Griffith, there's no doubt Roger did a great job. The same can be said for the rest of the cast as well. Anyway, back to the game. On the island, you'll see these red question marks. These are the missions. Each mission you complete rewards you with a red seed of power or blue seed of defense, as well as reveal more of the map piece by piece. One of the biggest complaints from fans is how uncontrollable Sonic can get when boosting at high speeds. This has been a glaring problem for a long time, even Unleashed had this problem. However, that game's levels were designed with these hiccups in mind. The games that followed were not. Because of everybody's bitching, Sega decided to give us all the customization we needed. You can now adjust Sonic's speed and turning to best suit your playstyle. You can even turn off all of the HUD if you wanted to. After trekking along for a bit, you will encounter your first mini-boss, a Guardian as this game calls it. Upon defeating a Guardian, they will drop a portal gear. The gears are used to unlock the cyberspace levels. In these levels, you can collect vault keys, used to unlock the vaults holding the Chaos Emeralds. Each level has 4 keys, one for reaching the goal, one for getting the S rank, one for collecting X amount of rings, and one for collecting all 5 of the red star rings. Now's a good time to bring up that I fucking hate these things. They are so annoying and are completely void of any value in every game they're in. I don't even bother collecting these because what's the fucking point? Not to mention, they are always put in the stupidest locations ever, deliberately making you go out of your way to find them. God, I hate these stupid ass things. So why do I find myself wanting to collect them all in Sonic Frontiers? Well, it's simple. They're not placed in asinine locations, and they do serve a purpose because, like I mentioned a moment ago, you get another key for finding them all in the level. The cyberspace levels are this game's special stages, as you don't need to find and complete any of them to continue the story. More on why that is later. These stages also take layouts and locations from previous games. Let me tell you, Sonic Team really had the balls to make the first one Green Hill. The level itself is actually Windmill Isle Act 1 from Unleashed. The backdrops are Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, and Eternal Highway, the latter being an original environment taking inspiration from SA2's City Escape. While most of these stages reuse layouts of previous stages from Adventure 2, Unleashed, and Generations, there are some original stages and even some stages that are a mashup of the two. For example, 3-5 is an original level with elements inspired by Savannah Citadel Act 2. These stages were the center of controversy surrounding this game. I never understood why. They aren't the main focus in the grand scheme, and that much is clear from the very first one. Moving on. This game combines linear objectives with what is referred to as open zone platforming. What I like about this game is that you are free to explore and progress at your own pace. There is still an end goal here, but the islands are so big in scope that you'll find yourself covering a lot of ground. It intrinsically motivates you to seek out the side missions and reveal more parts of the map, therefore making it easier to locate stuff. In fact, if you complete every mission on the island, you'll unlock the entire map and the ability to fast travel to any of the cyberspace portals, including ones you may not have discovered yet. Each island will also have a section that caters to fans of the old games by giving you a mini stage within it, with designs and layouts similar to the adventure games. I live for this shit. And the best part is that these aren't for the sake of nostalgia fulfillment, because at the end of each of these, there is a Chaos Emerald to collect so long as you have enough keys. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. On your journey, you'll spot these little stone creatures called Coco. Bring them to Elder Coco to upgrade your top speed and ring capacity. Bring the seeds you collected to the Hermit Coco to upgrade your defense and power. When you reach the ring threshold, your boost will be more effective. Speaking of the boost, you can only use it for a short period of time, unless you make an infinity symbol with Sonic's new Psy-Loop ability. By holding triangle, you can trigger the Psy-Loop, somebody played Pac-Man World 3, allowing you to collect hidden treasures, break enemy shields, and give Sonic an infinite boost for a few minutes. There's no limit to how many times you can do this, so do it whenever you want. Because the game is more combat evolved, Sonic has other abilities in his skill tree. These need to be unlocked by collecting skill pieces, which then give you skill points. You use those skill points to upgrade Sonic's arsenal. Once you wrap your head around all of that, you now have another collectible in this game: memory tokens. On each island, Sonic meets up with one of his friends while they're trapped in cyberspace. Their condition is stable, but they begin to slowly lose their memory. You maintain their stability by collecting memory tokens scattered all over the island. You can also use these tokens to talk to the game's new character. This is Sage, voiced by Ryan Bartley. She is a being of artificial intelligence created by Dr. Eggman. While she cannot fully control the Titans, she can manipulate them to attack Sonic. The Titans cannot be defeated by normal means. Sonic needs to obtain all 7 Chaos Emeralds and turn into Super Sonic in order to stand a chance. There is a lot to take in here, which I like. You are given multiple ways to progress throughout the game, and you can always switch it up whenever you so choose. And by the way, every single item that I mentioned can be purchased at one of the game's fishing spots. Yes, you heard that right. On each island, there is a portal that takes you to a spot to go fishing. You'll meet Big, who is willing to lend you his spare rod in exchange for purple coins, which can be found on the island, usually near structures and portals. Each item you catch nabs you a certain amount of tokens. You can also get gold cards by reeling in treasure chests. These can then be exchanged for everything you need to beat the game. And on top of that, a recent update added a new way to get tokens without needing purple coins. This barbecue spit minigame, which pays homage to the Monster Hunter series. Take the roast off the spit at the right time to get more tokens from Big. Use the tokens to buy whatever you need. This allows you to skip the cyberspace levels entirely if you don't want to play any of them. It's like a cheat code that the game encourages you to use, but at the same time, does this game want me to play it or not? It is nice though that this is given to the player as another option, despite it being incredibly OP. You can also buy Egg Memos. These are Eggman's voice logs that he recorded whilst in cyberspace. It's so cool listening to these, and I'm glad to see that he also doesn't like being called Baldy McNosehair. Never bring that joke back again, Sega. This was an exception. Welcome to the back patio. Every once in a while, you'll play a minigame on the island. These are called quests, and they must be completed in an allotted time in order to continue with the story. Completing most of these gives you a Chaos Emerald. Once you have 6 of them, you will then encounter one last objective to complete in order to find the way to the Titan. This first one is really annoying. You have to figure out which one controls which, and it can get confusing. But after figuring it out, the path is opened up and it's time to confront the Titan. But you may recall, Sonic only has 6 emeralds, so where's the 7th one? Well, it's on the Titan's head. You need to find a way to climb up to it in order to retrieve the emerald. Very reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus. Once Sonic has all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he becomes Super Sonic, and it's time to battle. Each fight against the Titans is accompanied by hardcore 2000s heavy metal, and it's the best shit ever, no exaggeration. All vocal tracks for these fights, Undefeatable, Breakthrough It All, and Find Your Flame, were done by Kellen Quinn of Sleeping with Sirens, with Danger Kid's Tyler Smith joining him in Find Your Flame. And holy shit do they crank these boss fights up to 11. These are, without a doubt, the highlights of the game and make the Emerald Hunts worth it in my opinion. I would even argue that they just might be some of the best, if not the best bosses in the entire series. They're that good. They made Super Sonic raw again. Another thing that I love about Super Sonic in this game is that you don't have to worry about learning a new control mechanic. In previous games, Super Sonic always controlled differently compared to regular Sonic, and oftentimes, it was difficult to adjust while fighting the fucking final boss. Even Unleashed had this issue. However, in Sonic Frontiers, everything you did as Sonic, you can do as Super Sonic. Control is the same. Thank you. Anyway, Titan number 1 defeated. That's just 1 island out of 5, and it took me roughly 2 to 3 hours to complete it. In the amount of time it takes to beat Sonic Forces twice, we've only beaten 1 Titan. That is an improvement in and of itself. Whoa, what was that all about? Well, maybe we'll get more context if we keep going, so let's head to the next island. And as you can probably guess, everything we did on Kronos Island, we do again on Eris Island, only with tougher enemies and guardians. Just wash, rinse, and repeat until you get to Rhea Island. Or is it Ray Island? Or Rhea Island? I don't fucking... On this island, there are 6 super tall towers that you need to shut down. When I say super tall, I wasn't kidding. These things are fucking tall. They can take anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes to reach the top. Falling at any point increases that time. Fun fact, there's a tiny island you can get to by jumping off the first tower. It's in the shape of Sonic's shoe, so I decided to call it Soap Island. It's already registered, so don't steal it. Check it out, there's even a dash panel here to get back to the main island. Sonic Team knew someone would try this, and I fucking love it. While shutting down the towers, we learn more about the Ancients and how the emeralds ended up here. They traveled to this world in refuge when theirs was destroyed by an unknown figure. After shutting down all 6 towers, Sonic ends up stuck between dimensions and the seal is broken, freeing the one responsible for that catastrophe I mentioned earlier. Amy, Knuckles, and Tails come together and reverse Sonic's corruption, bringing him back to the real world. Sage then proposes a temporary alliance with Sonic, which Eggman vehemently denies, but Sage eventually convinces him. I have to admit, it is nice to see Eggman take the back seat here and not be the main villain for a change. Now, before we go any further, it's probably worth noting why Sage wants to join forces with Sonic to save the world. Well, Sega and new writer Ian Flynn, known for his work on the comics, gave her and everybody else this funny little thing called character development. Maybe you've heard of it. At first, all she does is just tell Sonic to leave the islands. However, as the game goes on, she begins to grow envious of the friendship Sonic builds with everyone around him. While watching his conversations with Tails, it gets to the point where she sheds a few tears because her wish is to be part of a family born of love. She even starts changing color, but at no point does that ever get acknowledged, which is strange. She is capable of many things, but most of them are held back due to who her creator is. Flynn did a great job writing her character. So, in dire straits, she calculates the best chance for survival, and the only way is to team up with Sonic. This leads us to the last island in the game, Oranos Island. This is a good time to mention something I'm not necessarily a fan of. That would be these cutscenes. Most of them just cycle through set animations, which is really lame. I understand budgets exist, but this is inexcusable. But hey, at least you can actually see Sonic and friends talk to each other, and it isn't just text bubbles or the shit Forces did. So while it isn't the greatest improvement, it's still an improvement. Anyway, this island lets you buy as many cocoa as you want from Big, provided you have the tokens to do so. Big, what chemicals did you put in the water? This frog is gay now.
Oh, is that what that green stuff was? I thought it was Mountain Dew.
Can I also say how easy it is to stay at fishing spots for hours? It's so relaxing to fish, and the music complements that perfectly. You can run out of purple coins without even noticing. How do you get more? By finding them on the island, or by winning some with a slot machine that appears during what is called a starfall. Every few nights a starfall will occur. Starfalls resurrect all the enemies and guardians on the island. During this time, you can collect star bits to trigger the slot machine. Winning prizes nets you purple coins, and cocoa if you get them. The starfall ends at dawn. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, there's a dynamic day and night cycle on each island. Sometimes it even rains, which is really cool. In fact, there are some missions that can only be completed at night. I go to these ASAP, so I don't have to worry about them later. Thankfully, there's only a couple of them on each island. You might notice that up to this point, I've been turning off certain displays. Once everything is maxed out and or upgraded, I find it unnecessary to have them displayed. The last emerald is inside the giant building in the middle of the island, and the only way in is to beat this hacking game, which you first encounter on Chaos Island. This pays homage to an arcade game called Ikaruga, where you switch between dark and light shots to protect your ship from incoming projectiles. Shooting enough of them charges a laser shot, which does more damage. If you get hit by a projectile that doesn't correspond to the shot you're firing, your ship explodes and you lose a life. Once that's done, access to the 6th emerald is granted. Eggman then gives Sonic the last emerald to confront the last Titan.
Supreme, yeah.
Sorry if I'm talking about the story a lot, but it's honestly needed, as this game is very story-driven, similar to other story-driven franchises like Klonoa, Kingdom Hearts, or Final Fantasy. After defeating the last Titan, Sage gains control of it, and flies up to space with Super Sonic to confront the final threat, known simply as the End.
He took your home world. He took your lives.
Sonic, did you just assume the End's gender? You're gonna get cancelled! The End is a mysterious entity that travels across the universe with malicious intent. Its goal is to wipe out all life that exists. It was that eerie voice aiding Sonic the entire time. Once the battle begins, the End launches a big laser, which is immediately penetrated by Sage. She then slingshots Super Sonic towards the End, prompting 3 final QTEs with the square button. And that's it. Wait, what? That's all you have to do in order to beat the End? What the fuck? Compared to everything else in this game, including the fights against the Titans, this is so underwhelming and anticlimactic. Crash 2's final boss is harder than this, and that was piss easy. Pa-fucking-thetic. Dark Gaia, I owe you an apology. Your boss fight may have blown chunks, but at least you had one. Oh well. Super Sonic charges into the End, and the End proceeds to charge itself up in a last-ditch effort to destroy the world. Sage sacrifices herself to destroy the End. Another likable character that gets killed off immediately. It's Chip all over again. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy are freed from cyberspace as Sonic returns to the surface. They leave the island while Eggman stays behind, mourning the loss of who he now calls his daughter. This shows how Eggman still has a human side in him, Sage helped to bring that into realization. She was beyond anything Eggman had created before, and he was proud of her accomplishments. So it made sense that he would feel sorrow, knowing he wouldn't see her again. While this is a solid end to the game, it still doesn't excuse the fact that there was no real battle against the end. Actually, there was. You just didn't play it. What are you talking about? The game is over. Yes, but you can go back to before confronting Supreme and change your difficulty to hard. That's the only way you can actually face the end. Oh.
And that's all I could say was, oh.
Alright, well, let's do that then. Hey, look at that, Nitro was right. There is a true final boss fight. Remember that hacking game back on Chaos Island? Guess what? That's the boss. Cool, but also lame. Although it is really cool hearing the end spit a bunch of nonsense about its history with the Ancients. It also talks about Sonic's past battles against machines and gods, which may be references to fights against Metal Overlord and Dark Gaia and so on. Now, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about this boss. See, I think the devs were going for a sort of phase 2 of the Supreme fight. After all, it was being controlled by the end. This part of the fight isn't really a final boss, but rather a conclusion to your experience. The music and visuals certainly back up that case. With the end's monologue, the Ikaruga fight, and I'm with you in the background, this shapes up to be a spectacular finale. The more I play it, the bigger my appreciation for it grows. This shot of Supersonic flying through space like a shooting star is fucking awesome. So once the true final battle is over, we actually get a different song that plays after Dear Father. Instead of Vandalized by One OK Rock, we get to listen to One Way Dream performed by Nathan Sharp. After the credits, we get one final cutscene where Eggman is typing away at a computer, and, well, I'll let the rest of it speak for itself.
Father?
That's my girl.
He brought Sage back. She might return in future games. After beating the main game, you unlock Arcade Mode, where you can play all of the cyberspace levels again if you wish. You get nothing for beating them here, but hey, they're here for the time attacks, I guess. And that's just the story and basic premise. There's so much more to talk about here, like the music. Tamoya Otani, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, composed most of the music in this game, and I swear he never fucking misses. Seriously, every score is fantastic. Go stream it or look it up on YouTube, you won't regret it. I don't think there's a single one that I dislike. Although the cyberspace music is kinda meh, it all sounded the same to me. Though there are a few that stand out. Flowing, Deja Vu, and Enjoy This World. The latter sounds like it was ripped straight out of Fall Guys. What I love about the music is that every time you collect a Chaos Emerald, the movement changes. And if you stand still for a bit, the music quiets down. Really cool. And of course, we can't talk about the music without once again bringing up the vocal tracks that play during the Titan boss fights. Holy shit. Undefeatable while fighting Giganto, break through it all during Wyvern, find your flame for the night fight, and the instrumental of the game's main theme, I'm Here, during the first half of Supreme. Then hearing the vocals kick in during the second half, it's just so fucking awesome! This is the most fun I've had playing a Sonic game in a hot minute. Now, let's talk about the controls. You boost with R2, jump and double jump with X, home and attack with square, stomp with circle, side loop with triangle, quick step with L1 and R1, lock onto enemies with R3, and lightspeed dash with L3. It all feels incredibly natural in this game. Playing a lot of Unleashed growing up made me feel right at home with the home and attack being on a different button. But the controls have their issues. Okay, so the controls are fine on the islands, but in cyberspace? Good God. See, for the levels that are original or SA2, the controls aren't much of an issue, but for boost levels from Unleashed and Generations, the controls are way more cumbersome than they should be. If you boost or stomp in the air, you can't do it again until you touch ground. This goes for the islands as well, but it's much more apparent in cyberspace due to the linearity of the levels. Oftentimes this throws me off and causes me to die a lot. However, I will say the controls don't take that long to get used to. I just think that Sonic is rather slow in these levels, as your stats on the islands don't carry over in cyberspace, which is strange. This is especially apparent in, you guessed it, the boost levels. It's just weird, man. Back on the island, it's not necessarily the controls that hinder the game, but rather the physics surrounding them. I swear, sometimes wall climbing just doesn't work the way the devs intended. I find myself falling off these things and I always feel cheated. I know how to climb the walls, so why isn't Sonic climbing the walls? Another big issue is that Sonic's momentum is completely unpredictable. Combined with the spotty depth perception, it's hard to predict your jumps a lot. When you're running in a straight path, the slightest speed bump causes Sonic to fucking ascend to Saturn. I mean, Christ, it's just outright ridiculous. These hiccups really do a number on the game's replay value. But am I willing to put up with all of this bullshit happening around me? Well, for me, the answer is yes. But for most of you, the answer might be no. It really comes down to patience. If you can deal with these quirks, you have yourself an otherwise very solid game. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the references to past Sonic games present here. Wait, why am I back outside? Yes, aside from cyberspace, there are a ton of callbacks, references, and nods to games from throughout the series. Things like the Eclipse Cannon on the Ark, the Mystic Ruins, civilizations like the Black Arms and the Babylonians, and name drops like Tikal, Infinite Styx, Tangle from the comics, Silver, Shadow, Omega, Rouge, Orbot and Cubot, Maria, Zavok, Jet, fucking Dark Gaia. Sage brings up Neo Metal from Heroes. If you're a Sonic fan, you will love hearing all of this. As far as the graphics go, this game looks incredible. The dynamic skybox certainly helps with that too. Just look at how the sun reflects off of Sonic at some angles. Look at the raindrops falling on his head. It all feels so real. It's kinda scary, I'm not gonna lie. Nothing to see here, just another day in New York. The foliage on the island reacts to Sonic's movement, making you feel like you have an effect on your surroundings. And remember what I said earlier about character development? Well, on every island, Sonic gets to spend quality time with one of his friends. Amy on Kronos, Knuckles on Ares, and Tails on Chaos. Each cutscene sees Sonic and insert friend here talk about the events happening around them, and they start to reflect on past experiences, as well as what happened on the islands. On Kronos Island, Amy and Sonic help Coco find their true love. When they do, the two are reunited in a flashback, and the Coco souls are finally able to live in peace. Every time this happens, this symbol appears in the sky. Nobody knows what this symbol means, and the game doesn't ever mention its existence. Eventually, the conversations lead to Sonic's friend getting themselves out there to see the rest of the world on their own terms. In the past, I'm almost certain Sonic would have said something along the lines of, "But we're friends and you'd be nothing without me, chili dogs." But in this game, Sonic actually encourages everybody to go and do their own thing. Amy wants to share her love with the world, Knuckles wants to get off his island and live life, and Tails wants to fly solo so he can redeem himself. Wait, Tails actually wants to not be a pussy anymore? See, in recent entries, Tails would always wind up cowering whenever the slightest sliver of adversity approached him. He would just hide or call for Sonic. He even pussied out from fucking Chaos Zero. In this game, he starts to think about those events, and even mentioned another version of himself confronting him in cyberspace, telling him that he was a no-good, helpless coward. He even goes as far as to ask Sonic if he's a burden. Sonic is quick to put those fears to bed, but it wasn't enough. Tails decides to go on his own adventures once he's free. This is great. It shows that Sega and Sonic Team are aware of how poorly Tails was treated. He's supposed to be a smart, energetic kid who looks up to Sonic and is able to fend off bad guys on his own. The past few games just threw that logic out the window and made Tails so unlikable because he did nothing and added nothing. This is so refreshing to hear. Tails feels guilt from not being much of help. This game rebuilt Tails' character, no exaggeration. Now here's something weird but cool. If you sit around and do nothing for 10 minutes at a specific spot on the island, Sonic will briefly say something about his friends, the Chaos Emeralds, or what he plans to do when he goes home. Sometimes you'll even get to hear the end explain how to progress. These are really cool, but who the hell is going to sit here and do nothing?
We can't just sit here and do nothing!
The end also tells you to get back on the main path if you try to stray from it. The most notable example is on Rhea Island, if you try to return to the Kronos part of it. Yeah, the last two islands are just different parts of Kronos. Speaking of the end, they have two voices that they like to use whenever. They have a female voice, which is Cindy Robinson, and a male voice, which is Mike Pollock. No, that isn't a joke. During their battle, they mention their imprisonment in cyberspace and inform the player that no matter what you throw at them, the outcome remains the same. I guess we know where Sage got that attitude from.
I am infinite.
Last I checked, Infinite was a jackal. not a big fucking purple moon.
I am inevitable.
Look, just because you're purple doesn't mean you can pretend to be Thanos. I find myself replaying this fight just to hear these again and get a better understanding of what they're talking about. I doubt we've seen the end of, well, the end, because its defeat seemed too easy. There's no telling how many incarnations it has. This could just be the first one, who knows? It felt like this game ended before the story could really get its feet moving. We still don't know what this symbol means, we don't know if we've truly beaten the end, and there are still a lot of unknowns in this game that haven't been revealed. Well, Sega and Sonic Team have plans for this game in 2023. 3 major updates will roll out over the course of the year, adding new features, Coco, and modes free of charge. The Holiday and Monster Hunter suits were just the beginning. The game is also getting a jukebox, a photo mode, and new modes like a boss rush, it seems. This is a huge lifesaver because the only way you could fight these titans again, aside from Supreme, is if you start a new game. So having this update is a godsend. By the time this video goes up, it will already be available. I'll go more in depth once every major update is out. The biggest update, in my opinion, is the last one. This will add Tails, Knuckles, and Amy as playable characters, and expand on the lore with a new story. Holy shit. We have a lot to look forward to, and I can't wait to return to the Starfall Islands to continue this one-way dream. See what I did there? I am so happy to see Sonic truly back in all of his glory, and I think the future looks bright for the series going forward. I'm really glad I saw this to the end. I fucking love this game. With all that being said, I'm going to be giving Sonic Frontiers a 7 out of 10. I was debating that score, but the positives immensely outweigh the negatives to the point where they're just simply gripes. I will be putting an asterisk on it though, as hopefully the updates will make this game even more enjoyable for fans, both new and old. I'll be sure to revisit this game once the dust settles and we have our hands on the last major update. If the game improves between now and then, I will undoubtedly bump up my score to an 8. For now, I'm very happy with the state of this game and the lasting impact it will forever have on the franchise. Even though I am strongly encouraging you to pick this game up, I will say this. Wait for a price drop. I don't think this is worth $60 in my opinion. Wait for it to go on sale or get it when it's free on PS Plus. Don't pay full price for it. And this concludes the review portion of this video. That was a lot to take in, but I hope you're enjoying it thus far. Now comes the fun part. I get to talk about my experience with the game while I was getting the Platinum Trophy, as well as give you some helpful tips if you decide to do this too. So, in the words of Philip DeFranco, let's just jump into it. Just a quick disclaimer before we do, I will be going through these trophies in the order in which I collected them, just to make it easier for me. The only exceptions will be the ones that I will group together because they're the same trophy just for a different island. I'll point them out when we get to them. Okay, you ready for this? Out of the 40 trophies you get in the game, cyberspace is only needed for 2 of them. In fact, you can get both of them in 1-1 when you start the game. You get Perfect Run the first time you complete all 4 missions in the stage. If you do this, you will also get the Superior Ranking Trophy, which you get for your first S rank. There you go, no more cyberspace, see you later, bye! No, I'm kidding. I went through and completed every mission in every cyberspace portal. It's not required, but I did it anyway because I was intrinsically motivated. Anyway, our first steps on Kronos Island are shortly met by the first mission. Prioritize these missions. Why? Because when you complete them all, you will have a full view of the map and unlock the ability to fast travel to any of the portals on the island. It saves time trying to hunt down every single one. The third trophy I got was Unknown Threat, and you get this trophy after defeating your first Titan, which should be Ninja, and if it isn't, what the hell is wrong with you? My next trophy was Speed Demon, and you get this for boosting at max speed for the first time. See, Sonic Team decided to include a reference to the movies by implementing this feature. When you reach your ring threshold, Sonic is able to run faster with the boost. Your starting cap is 400 rings, which is more than enough. Then trophy number 5 was The Journey Begins, acquired after completing the tutorial. I then went over to see Elder Coco, netting me another trophy. This is a good time to remind you. Whenever you come to Elder Coco, do not, I repeat, do not raise your ring capacity. Keep it at 400 until you max out your speed. Once you max out your speed, it doesn't matter how many rings you have, you will always have the top speed. Until then, leave your ring capacity alone. I can't stress that enough. The next trophy I got was Combo Convert. You get this trophy when you activate a Phantom Rush for the first time. A Phantom Rush can be triggered when you land enough hits on an enemy. Of course, you need to unlock it in the skill tree first, and after figuring out that Sonic can't do shit to Giganto and being flung into a cliffside, I paid a visit to Hermit Coco for another trophy. The quickest way to get the Swath of Destruction trophy is to just go around and go ham on anything that looks breakable. 100 broken objects later, boom, trophy. These next 12 trophies are all the same thing. They are the Explorer, Memories, and Expert trophies. You get 3 on each island. The Explorer trophies are earned after completing every mission on the island, the Memories ones are collected after activating every portal on the island, and the Expert ones are collected after viewing every side story, including the ones with Sage. You get another one after viewing all of them. Speaking of trophies that are the same, the Beginning, Ancient Defiance, Futile Resistance, and Hope Across Ages are the 4 trophies you get after defeating each of the 4 Titans. Okay, so that's 26 trophies that we knocked out. That's more than half already. But the next batch of trophies you actually have to go out of your way in order to get. The next trophy I'm going to talk about revolves around the fishing minigames. This brings us to... Be on the lookout for purple coins on the island and collect them whenever you see them. There's enough to land every catch at the first spot. You'll know when you're done because you'll get the Angler's Club trophy. You also get a trophy for completing the tutorial, which is really easy. By the way, you don't have to do this again at any other spot if you don't want to. I'm going to anyway because, like I said in the review part of the video, these are so relaxing. Now, you might be asking, well, how will I know when I'm done fishing for new catches? Well... keep a mental note of what you caught first. When you see it a second time, you're done. For any audiophiles out there, listen closely because the jingle slightly changes when there are no more new catches. Once you're done fishing, use whatever gold cards you have to buy the egg memos, as they are the most expensive thing that Big offers. You actually don't need any of them for 100% completion, but they're nice to have for lore purposes and also to kind of make sense of why Eggman listens to Sage and asks Sonic for help. And of course, remember you can buy whatever you need from Big as long as you have enough tokens. Speaking of which, use the barbecue spit to farm all the tokens you need. You don't need coins and you're not penalized for overusing it. Just cook, and cook some more. Then buy everything you need. Side note, the amount of cocoa you can buy are finite on the first 3 islands, but on Uranos Island, there is no limit. Here, buy all the cocoa you need. Seriously, where did Big get them? You can also do this to cheese the Cocoa Leader trophy, which you get after collecting 200 cocoa in total. On Eris Island, you'll encounter a Starfall for the first time. This will give you the Celestial Rain trophy. Now, the Ticket to Tranquility trophy requires you to earn 100 purple coins in any shape or form. I found that the fastest way to do this is to collect a bunch of star bits and hope and pray that you win a couple slots, which seems to be the case most of the time. If you find yourself extremely unlucky, then just keep collecting them the old-fashioned way. That's the best advice I can give. The next trophy, Unrivaled Aptitude, requires you to fully upgrade your skill tree. Skill pieces give you the skill points to upgrade the skill tree. Once you get the Air Trick skill, getting skill points becomes incredibly easy. Okay, I've gone long enough not bringing it up, but there's no delaying it anymore. It's time to talk about Elder Coco. Jesus, this takes forever, man. You can only upgrade one thing at a time, so you will be here for a long time if you have the correct amount of cocoa needed. I recommend maxing out the speed first, then the ring capacity. It's so strange because Hermit Coco upgrades your shit instantly. Give him the seeds and you're done. So why can't Elder Coco do the same thing? It's so frustrating. I'm not even joking either. This will take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours. Not minutes, fucking hours. That's a joke. Everything I just said here is irrelevant now because of the update. Pretend it's not out yet. But anyway, 2 hours later, we upgraded our speed and ring capacity, and got their respective trophies. We get another 2 trophies for maxing out our power and defense. There are 2 more trophies we get on Uranos Island. We defeat the wolves, which are the last enemies needed to get the Easy Prey trophy, and then we can get the Threats Identified trophy for defeating every guardian. Now, it was at this point that I was about to fight Supreme, but before I did, I decided to check my trophy list just for a good measure. Then, eating cow fucking sucking I forgot the Combo Cracker Jack trophy. You need to activate Phantom Rush 50 times outside the training simulator to get it. But of course, at this point, I'm too powerful. I actually started a new game and unlocked the Phantom Rush skill. Then I set up a separate save file that I can reload every time I'm done fighting Squid. I did this for 2 hours, and it still wasn't enough. No, I did not sleep that night. Thank you for asking. Welcome to my bed. So I gave up and looked for a faster way. And this is how I discovered the Mission 22 trick. On Kronos Island, there's a mission in which you do a homing attack on these platforms to activate a switch. But if you keep hitting the platforms, they actually contribute towards the combo. Don't ask how. So I used this to get the last few Phantom Rushes I needed. Keep yourself weak enough to be able to pull this off while you're playing the game. Or just do the trick I mentioned. Anyway, back on my main save, and now I'm ready to confront Supreme and the end. However, I got the Land of Peace trophy while I was recording footage for the normal mode ending. Since this was the last trophy in the game, I also got the Platinum trophy. That sucks, but I did the fight anyway because, hey, I had yet to record it, so yeah. I already touched on this battle, so I won't say anything more here. And there we go, that's the Sonic Frontiers Platinum Trophy, and full completion of the fishing spots and cyberspace levels, and every egg memo to boot. And after going through all of that, the one question that remains, is it worth it? Honestly, not really. A vast majority of players are most likely not going to give a shit about the Platinum Trophy, but for the hardcore fans, this might be one of the easiest Platinum Trophies you can get. More than half of them can be acquired by just playing the game. That can be a good or bad thing depending on who you ask. Sonic Frontiers as a whole is a wonderful experience from beginning to end, and it's a step in the right direction for the series. It represents the end of the current era and the beginning of a new one. It was the change of pace the franchise was extremely desperate for. I can name out all kinds of cliches, but in the end, this game is simply put, good. It has its problems, but I never felt like they kept me from wanting to continue. The story was very well told, and the characters weren't blabbering morons. Hopefully, Sega and Sonic Team can keep this ball rolling for future titles. Please don't fuck this up. And with that, we are done talking about this game. At least for now. I hope you all enjoyed this video of me reviewing Sonic Frontiers and documenting my Platinum Trophy run. If so, hit that like button to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video to all of your friends. And if you'd like, consider joining my Discord server, linked in the description below. My name is JuniorNitro, thank you for watching this video, and... Oh shit, we forgot about Big.